Welcome everyone to MTZ Overflow Podcast. I'm your host here, Cassaundra Thorpe, with our forever guest, Pastor Marcus Allen.
Forever guest.
How are you, Pastor?
I'm good. How you doing?
I'm doing well.
Good.
Doing well. Today we are going to be talking about Martin Luther King Jr. Day, as well as the speech that Pastor gave at the Capitol, Madison Capitol. Hosts every year it's one of the longest, or it is the longest standing.
I think it is the longest, 43 years.
Yeah, celebration of Martin Luther King Jr. And there were a series of people and speakers that were there, but we have the honor of having the keynote speaker here with us today. So how did that request come to you?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure at all. It was just, I forget.
Okay.
Either late summer, early fall. I received the email asking me if I would be the keynote speaker for the MLK celebration. And so I initially went back and looked and see, is this scam? Is this spam mail? Is this real? And then I was like, yo, you sure you got the right person?
Yeah.
And it was like, yeah, and so went from there.
Wow. How do you prepare for something like that? Because I know we talk about sermons and preparation and all of that. So how do you prepare for a speech, a commemorative speech at that?
Yeah, it was the same process. I just had a little longer. And so each week I take time throughout that week to focus on that and really dissecting the theme, the theme of the day. And it was a lot because I had other stuff going on. I had like right before, I think we had like 3 funerals, watch night service, preaching in Milwaukee. Just had a lot going on, and every time I got in the rhythm of writing for the MLK speech, it was just something else will be piled on. So it took a lot. It took a lot of time. I started listening to his speeches. It's a whole playlist on my phone now, from on Apple. Whole playlist of his speeches, and just listening to him talk and understanding that this was a young man, right? He wasn't old. He was. No, he was turning the world upside down, at 20, 26, 27, 8, 30 years old. And but the way he used his illustrations, his humor, his intentionality, his formatting, that's what I was listening for. It was just remarkable just to listen to how he would speak to the people and encourage, uplift, and also challenge and really state how he was feeling about things, and wasn't ashamed, wasn't afraid, and had this different approach than most people of nonviolence. And that was his approach, and that's what he thought was the way, and he stuck to it. And he, I think he was a great man. Yeah.
Had you studied him much prior to being asked to speak?
Not as much as, the normal I have a dream speech. Matter of fact, I just remember when I was in 5th grade, I think I said the speech.
You did?
Yeah. But it's, that's to the highest extent of which we're taught in public schools when it comes to Black history, is always just Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King, when there's so much more to Black history than him. But he is the liberator, the Moses of our day, a drum major for justice. And so we were grateful. I was grateful just to be selected, to be a part of such a great occasion. I think I was the first local speaker that they had ever had.
Oh.
It's pretty crazy.
That's pretty surprising.
Yeah.
Yeah. Remarkable as well.
For real. No, I've only been here 7 years.
Strong 7.
Strong 7. Year of complete. Shaita.
I thought you didn't know numbers.
I know a few. Everyone knows 7. But yeah, I was blown away. And as if you listen to the speech, when Dr. Overby introduced me, I asked him, why me? And he said, it's your time. And so I'm grateful, I'm thankful for the favor which God has placed on my life. And I tell y'all all the time, I am God's favorite. And God always take care of me. And you hear what I'm saying? Yeah. And so that's just my story, and I'm sticking to it.
As you should.
Amen.
The pastor that I grew up with, his was people asked how he was doing, and he'd say, "Too blessed to complain," and that was his saying. That was people always knew him for that, and yours will be, "I'm God's favorite."
and this is not on the speech, but the reason behind me saying that I'm God's favorite is so I can leak that upon the members and the listeners. So when they leave from the sanctuary, they can also testify. I'm God's favorite.
Yeah.
Because all of us can be God's favorite without none of us being shown favoritism.
Facts. I too am God's favorite. I am God's favorite. The fact that he is protecting me on these snowy, frozen roads of Madison, he liked me.
Oh, yes.
I'm his favorite for sure.
I know that's right.
For sure. All right, everybody's here. Let's get into this speech.
Okay.
You give a shout out to all you people. That's beautiful. You had to let everybody know that you're a grandfather. Congratulations.
Yes. Lily Grace.
Yes.
8 pounds, 3 ounces. So beautiful. Oh, such a bundle of joy. I never thought I can ever experience love like that.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's truly amazing.
Wow.
I told my other kids this is the best day of my life. And my daughter Micaiah asked the question, what about when I was born? I was like, I said, no, today is. And she was like, you're going to get old.
At least you told me.
She said, you shall be old, and you're not living with me. I'm putting you in a home. So, hey.
Well, congratulations
Thank
to
you.
you, to the parents. We're so excited for them starting their family or continuing their family.
Oh yeah.
With beautiful Lily Grace. So the part of the speech that you really harped on and focused in on is one day.
Yeah.
These 2 words, one day. I think as we think about this, I won't say I think. When I think about one day, it's future tense. It's not present tense, it's future. And you really challenged us to get into present tense. And so you identify these 4 areas, and I want to expand on those for majority of our talk. They are faith talk, deceptive talk, vision caster, and apathy as it comes to the phrase one day. So we'll start with faith talk. So your note here says, expecting something great to happen one day. Now, in our Christian faith, I feel that our faith is contingent on things that I guess are seen and unseen. So it's very much a hope of things to come. So it's very future casting. Is that good? Well, it's not bad, but so it's like, as that in relation to one day, should we continue to keep faith in our one day?
Definitely. So when this came to me, I want to say a few months ago when I started really honing in on the speech, and I just began to think one day, for me, in order for me to get it, I got to read it over and over again. I got to play it in my head over and over again. Then I understand which angle or which direction I want to go from it. And when I was looking at it, I was like, well, one day can be this vision, right? It can be the place where we want to be or we desire to be at some point in time. And so in order to get to that one day, I have to exercise or use what I have today in order to experience that one day. Right? And so when I'm talking about the present tense of that one day, I'm talking about using everything I have today to get me to the day that I'm expecting. Right? And that goes back to, so that's why I say it's faith talk.
Yeah.
Because one day I believe, as Martin Luther King would say, we'll all be able to be together. The man will be judged by the content of his character and not by the color of his skin. That will happen one day. But that take work today to get to that one day. And so that's faith talk. That's big faith talk. One day I want to be a millionaire. One day I want to get married. One day I want to drive this type of car. Or one day I want to live in this house. One day I want to make sure that there are no homeless people. One day I want to make sure there are no food insecurities. One day I make sure people have equitable housing and health care and education. That is faith talk. Because if I'm saying that, I'm planning today in order to get to that one day, right? But then there's also, I was suggesting in the speech that there can be deceptive talk, which says, I go to you, ask you, hey, I need a new house. I don't have enough money, and you say, well, I'll give you this house, but I'm gonna give you a higher interest rate. But I'm giving you the house, so you need to be happy with what I have given you and settle for what you have, and you'll get things right one day. I think hopefully it also speaks to us that we not allow that deceptive talk to allow us to settle for current day shortcomings. That I want it all.
Yeah.
You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I want it. I'm like, I want it all now. What's that commercial? It's my money and I want it now. JJ Wentworth, something like that. But I don't want us to use it as deceptive talk. Far as if I get my report card or a kid get a report card and they got a B on the report card, it's like, well, I'll get an A one day. But you're not doing anything today in order to aim towards that one day. And so I don't want us to use that as a deceptive talk, nor do I want us to look at one day as apathy, where I'm just satisfied, I'm cruising, I'm smooth, I'm cool with today because I have enough. You feel what I mean? And I don't want us to be satisfied with that. I want us to continue to press towards one day as the vision caster. I want to cast vision with this one day. And that's looking at the theme. I was looking at those two contrasting places that many people get stuck in. Some look at one day as the vision. Some look at it as just, I'm going to settle for where I am and not try to get to something better.
Yeah. Yeah, turning it into action. Because like you've been saying, like one day is there, but we need to take care of today in order to get to one day. I'm with it. I think it's hard though, because one day is it's ambiguous.
Right.
So how do I get to a one day today?
Yeah. So it takes energy. It takes effort. It takes having that vision of one day. It takes really being intentional about where you see yourself going and what you want to see the results of, and just really talking to Black people, and then but also talk to everybody that was listening too. That don't just tell me we'll get it one day, and don't be satisfied with what you have received today, and not expect nothing greater to come, because one day is really looking out, forecasting something greater. That's how I was looking at the theme of the day, and so. Because you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, that's why you got to give your all today.
Yeah. I've been to various Martin Luther King Jr. events over the course of my life, and they all love the one day, right? Or not specifically the term one day, but like the hope for the one day, right? And as I was reflecting this year, I don't want to hear the same conversation again and again of like one day his dream is still alive, maybe, which is a whole different question.
Right.
About like one day and it'll happen and maybe like that's really how it feels. And it's like, what are the actions? What is the energy that can be put towards changing today so that one day can happen? And I think there may have been some additional strides, right? Like we were able to pay off our mortgage during the pandemic. So that's, I'm sure that was somebody's one day.
Right.
And that's an actionable piece. And now we're fundraising for a family life center, which now lives in a one day. And so what are the actions that our community, our members, our city, our state can put towards making the family life center happen truly one day, but not just a idea or sounds good,
Right.
hope it works out for you type of space. Yeah, that's a lot of what I was reflecting on. Is like, what are the actions of Dr. King that we're doing versus, celebrating his life and what he did, where he put us, the position he put us in, celebrating that, but how are we carrying on that legacy?
It goes beyond that. January 15th or the third Monday of January. That shouldn't be the only day that we think about how do we impact in our community, or how are we doing the things to ensure, that Dr. King's dream, I think the speech, I Have a Dream speech, lives on because of the hope in which it provides of a world where everyone coming together and making things happen for each other. It often said, injustice anywhere is
a threat to justice everywhere.
Everywhere. You know what I'm saying? And so he was often speaking to everybody, not just black people. And so I think it goes beyond that day, and oftentimes we get caught up in that moment, just looking at that. And as I stated in the speech at the beginning of how Mount Zion, that we are very intentional about how we are treating the least, the lost, the left out, and left behind. How we are trying to improve gaps that are in our community, in our families. How we're trying to address issues that seem to continue to progress in the African American community when it comes to housing, education, mental health, physical health, family, foster children. We have stuff to focus on all of that. Now we don't meet every need, right? Because there's still other needs that are outside of our scope or of our ability. But it's good to have other places like the Urban League that focus on economics and focus on jobs, and Nehemiah that focus on reentry and things like that, or even Just Dane, stuff like that focus on helping other things that we don't have any expertise in, but we have what we have to be able to continue to help someone get to what I'm calling in the speech one day.
Yeah, those community resources are so vital, and maybe that's what helps, right? It doesn't have to be on one person. A community needs to come together to make the impact today for one day. Shifting, maybe you don't know this or it's not titled anywhere, but you talk about a June 17th speech, 1966. What speech was that?
I think that was American Dream. I was listening to it on the podcast. I think it was American Dream speech.
Yeah.
I think that's the title of it. And I couldn't find it online to actually quote it, but I saw it on YouTube also, and that was the exact date and time that they gave on YouTube.
Okay, so for those who want to do some searching, it's June 17th, 1966, where Dr. Martin Luther King gave a speech declaring that there are only 3 words he wanted to state to America. and pastors broke these down, all here and now. Was it a sentence? Did he break it up and say all? This is what all means.
Mm-hmm.
Here is what here means. Okay, now. Okay.
Yeah, he said he want all our rights, and he said we want them all here. We want all our rights here. We shouldn't have to move from the South to get these rights. From Georgia, Mississippi, Alabama to get these rights, and then we want them now. And so, yeah, those were his 3 words: all here now.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty straightforward.
Mm-hmm.
I will commend him. I think at times we can be worried about saying the right things or putting the right sequence of words together. I'm sure he had help. I know he had a lot of advisors to help him as he wrote his speeches, but to make it digestible and direct and measurable, I think is that also carries a lot of weight with continuing the longevity of his speeches and how they can continue to be relevant as that the language continues to transcend throughout decades. And as you stated, that you wouldn't be a Baptist preacher if you didn't bring scripture.
Had to.
So we hung out with John a little bit, John 9:4. And the text says, Jesus declares that I must work for the works of him who sent me while it is day. The night is coming when no one can work.
Mm-hmm.
I hadn't committed this text to memory. There's others that I haven't either. I'm just being honest. I'm not you. You probably can quote this whole chapter.
Not really.
You're just so skilled as a pastor at memorization. But with this text, it actually got me to thinking about how I maximize my day. Before we got on today, I was telling Pastor that I was channeling his energy, his workout energy, as I woke up at 5 and got to the gym, got my workout in, and then started my day. But that not only have I been seeing you do it, but also after listening and then reading the speech and reading this text, understanding how much more we can do within our days.
Mm-hmm.
And I think sometimes we limit ourselves, but you are challenging us to not do that. We dissect a little bit more into the scripture, into the text. Who was John? He's a major prophet.
Right.
Yes, he's a major prophet.
No.
Wait, he's not a major prophet?
No, John is a revelator. John,
who is that?
John was one of the disciples. Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. That's the Gospels.
I thought those were the major prophets, though.
No, the major prophets are Jeremiah, Isaiah, Ezekiel. Some say Daniel. It's all right.
I thought.
Say Sunday school. Just say Sunday school.
Sunday school.
That's the Gospels.
I thought they were the major prophets, and then there were minor prophets like Micah and Jonah and
Yeah,
all
those
those.
are minor. Those are not minor. That's Old Testament. John is in New Testament.
Yes,
Matthew, Mark,
the
Luke,
first 4 books in the New Testament.
John is a part of that.
I know.
He's a gospel writer, and he's the writer of Revelation. So he's seen as the revelator, the self-proclaimed disciple that Jesus loved.
And he put him on the island of Patmos.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know a little something about John.
It's
I
not
didn't know he was
considered.
a major prophet, though.
He's not considered as a major prophet.
Sorry, John. I tried to
Alright.
give you some cred. But so tell us a little bit about John. Well, we know about him, but like now. But what's going on in chapter 9 here?
Yeah. So here Jesus is just talking to his disciples. He says, he's giving them pretty much this is his purpose of coming and what he's going to do, what he should be doing. He said, I must work the works of him who has sent me while it is day. For when night comes, no man can work. And so that's, I think that speaks to what I was trying to explain in the speech, that one day must be focused on today. Because if we don't focus on one day today, we are missing when it comes. And so Jesus says, I must work while sun is shining, right? Because that is equating to life. And when night comes, it equates to what? Darkness. And so that equates to death. So I must work while I have light, because when it becomes dark, then I am dead. And when I'm dead, I cannot work. So I'm going to take advantage of every moment of light by working, because the Father has sent me. I must work the works of him who has sent me, right? And so that's our goal as individuals. And I think this applies to Christians and non-Christians, that we must do the work to help others, do the work to help ourselves, do the work to be able to be engaged with community. We must do the work while we have the ability to do it. Because it's going to come a time where we won't. And then we don't want to live with the shoulda, coulda, wouldas, right? And so that's what's going on in the text. And looking at that, I just look at how a farmer, before they had modern day machinery, they wake up early in the morning before the daylight and get to work so that they can take advantage of every moment of daylight. Because once the sun goes down, now it's time to go to sleep. Because there's no work that can be done, because you can't see, because there were no lights, right? So that's what Jesus is saying, and that's what I was trying to convey to everyone. Do the work today. Do the work today. What I also liked is like the vision, right? Like what does that one day look like? And you identify some key Madison folks who are doing these things. Dr. Ruben Anthony, Dr. Gloria Lanson Billings, Vanessa McDowell Atlas. Yeah, did she get you? My bad. Somebody did. Add that Atlas.
Yes. She's married.
She's married now.
Colleen Cares, Dr. Alex Gee, Jack Daniels, Sheila Stubbs, Carla Gaines, and then Barack Obama and Kamala Harris.
Right.
Have you had conversations with all of these people? Have you connected with them? Like, what inspired you to make sure that you called them out by name?
Just like you said, connections with them, seeing the work that they're doing in the community, their intentionality of helping the community and helping people achieve one day themselves, and so their vision of one day is through their work helping others gain just positive ground to be able to stand on their own 2 feet by themselves, and seeing all of them with education, healthcare, and all the things that I really talked about in the speech. And so those people are doing a lot of great work, and so I have relationships with all of them, worked with all of them, and understand, except President Barack Obama and Kamala Harris, I haven't worked with them as much yet.
Come on.
Haven't worked with them, but those other individuals, I've seen their work and seen their intentionality of what I call trying to help one day be a reality for others.
Yeah, just like, and you gave your own example of your mother's one day. But my question, and I was wondering, was her one day to get her degree, or was her one day for you to get yours?
Yeah, it was. So let me say it like this, though. We moved from Clarksdale, Mississippi to Milwaukee, Wisconsin. No family, nobody up here. And we stayed in the shelter, stood in pantry lines, and stayed in raggedy homes and stuff like that. And my mom came here with nothing, and she started working at Wendy's. And she worked at Wendy's, I want to say, probably more than 25 years. And when she came here, she had 3 boys at the time, and then she had another one. And we didn't have anything. I just seen her work. That's all I saw. That's all I knew. I didn't know anything about college because my mom didn't have a high school diploma. So she wasn't pushing go to college because she had no knowledge of that. When I left for the Army, she was still working at Wendy's. I was 19. She was still working at Wendy's, and then she stopped working at Wendy's from an injury, and she started going to school. She got her GED. I think I was in Iraq, I want to say, or Afghanistan. I think I was in Iraq. She got her GED. Super proud of her, happy for her. And then she went to school and got her associate's degree. And it wasn't that she was pushing me to get a degree. It was me watching her push for something greater. And because she was pushing for something greater, it allowed me to have something greater. You feel what I'm saying? Yeah. And so when I finished my master's degree and she finished her associate's degree at the same time, and our graduation, I'm about to cry right now, our graduation was on the same day. And I didn't know it. I didn't know that my graduation was on the same day until she told me at my graduation. And she was there with me, cheering me on to get my diploma for achieving a master's degree, and for her to work all those years, then go back and get a GED, then go back and get an associate's degree, and don't walk across the stage. Probably the only chance she would have had to walk across a stage and get a diploma, she forfeited that to be with me. And that passion, that love towards me, and just to see her hard work and know how much she went through to get what she had, it pushed me to be able to experience one day in that moment. I'm speaking at the state capitol.
Yeah.
Because I've noticed her drive. I've noticed her determination, her focus, her purpose. I've noticed how she's doing things, and I'm like, yo, that's how I have to go after life, like my mom did. And seeing that, that's what pushed me to, my one day was at that state capitol, standing in front of all of those people on TV, PBS, and all that type of stuff. And that was because of her push.
Yeah. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah. I went back and listened to the speech, and I cried listening to it. Like, dang. I know, I was like, I can't cry during this speech. That's why I kept telling myself, I'm in front of all these people, make sure you get up here and say your little piece. Don't shed no tears.
Cry?
Nah, I didn't want to. I'm a thug. I'm a thug. I'm a thug, right? Gang.
You're asking me to confirm?
I'm telling you.
Oh, I see.
Thug life. I'm like Tupac. And so I'm like, I can't cry. But I went back and listened to it, I was like, dang. And what's crazy, that I didn't add that portion of the speech until that morning. Yeah. At like 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning. Like I was asleep and I woke up, and there was the speech had been on my mind. I've been reading it all day, reading it the last couple of days, and just going through and fine tuning it. And that piece came to me, and it was like, whoa, and it touched me. Yeah.
It was a powerful part of the speech. I think at times we can keep speakers there, like you're elevated, right? Because you need to be seen. You've got microphones in front of your face. We can elevate people and not always feel that human element and that connection. And so you created that with embedding that story. Like you thanked her in the beginning, but you also embedding that story.
Right.
And I think that makes it a lot more impactful to see an example of what a one day looks like, feels like.
Yeah, because the goal and the objective was pointing back to the TRY program we do at the Juvenile Detention Center, Transforming and Reaching Our Youth. And when we go there, the goal is to develop have those kids develop some type of vision. Because when I was a child, all I saw was my mother working. And when I became an adult and people like, I'm living my dream job, I'm doing my dream work. I'm living in my dream house, and I'm like, yo, I never envisioned being anything. I had no vision like, yo, I'm going to be a doctor when I grow up. I want to be a lawyer when I grow up. I had none of that type of vision at all. And because I had no vision, I really had nothing to look forward to. Mm-hmm. And since I didn't have anything to look forward to, I didn't try anything in that moment. Because I didn't say, this is where I'm trying to be. Yeah. This is where I'm trying to go. And because of that, I think for many of our kids today, it's the same. They don't have any vision. Now, if they don't have vision, they're willing to take chances and make poor choices today because they don't feel as if it'll affect them tomorrow. Yeah. And so since I didn't have any vision, all I saw was my mom working and making ends meet. And so that was my goal in life, get a job. I worked at Wendy's. I started working at Wendy's when I was 13 years old. My mama should be in jail right now because I was against the law. But
why would you report that? You know this is about to go out public. I think the statute of limitations is gone.
That's probably. But she was the manager there, so I was working there like 13, and so my whole high school, I was working at Wendy's.
Giving out free fries.
No, I couldn't give out anything free. But she had me working there, and I was grateful, and I was ashamed to tell people at my school that my mom worked at Wendy's. Now I look back on it, my mom, she probably only one had a job out of my peers. Moms probably didn't even have jobs or anything. You know what I'm saying? I'm thinking, mom a lawyer or a teacher or something. So I'm like, no, I'm embarrassed. My mom is the head manager at Wendy's. But now I'm just so thankful for her. Yeah. That her tenacity, her fortitude is just, it's tremendous.
That's amazing. Shout out to mom.
Shout out, Glow Jean, Alan Pierce.
Yeah, that's right.
To all the people who have been resilient in this nation, despite your unfair treatment and hate, to all who know their self-worth and not searching for affirmation outside of who you are, thank you for using one day as a vision and not a crutch. And as I mentioned earlier, visiting the juvenile detention center was an idea I wanted to make happen. The goal is to help youth develop some form of vision. If they could see themselves beyond their current state, maybe they would try to make better choices. And I'm often looking at my own life, growing up in the hood of Milwaukee, on 12th and North Avenue, the 53206 zip code. My mother was a single, uneducated black woman trying to raise 4 boys by herself. I never had great aspirations from what I saw because all I saw was my mother working hard at Wendy's, but to watch her go and get her GED and then get an associate's degree, but neglect to walk across the stage to get her own diploma, to stand and watch me walk across the stage and get my diploma. Her hope for one day has helped me experience one day today. One day.
What I always enjoy about your writings is that you tie in different texts and you bring it in, and it's not just, you don't speak on just one thing. You overlap and you embed different themes and ideas to, because you never know who's in the audience and what's going to resonate with people. So that's great. So within this speech, you identified 3 different Martin Luther King speeches and you wove them together. And I don't know if people who were listening, like the one as you were doing it live, if they caught all 3. But we had the I Have a Dream speech. We have the No Name speech that happened in June 17th, 1966. Please help us.
I think it was American Dream. I think the name of it was American Dream.
Sure, we're going to go with American Dream.
Yeah.
So we have I Have a Dream, American Dream, I Have a Dream, The American Dream, and then this letter from the Birmingham jail.
And the mountaintop. That's the last.
Oh, okay. And the mountaintop, so four.
I didn't quote I Have a Dream. I didn't quote
there it
anything
is.
from
There it is. I didn't have it written.
I didn't quote anything from I Have a Dream speech. They said, yeah.
You didn't? But one day, that line is in it.
What?
One day is in the I Have a Dream speech, isn't it?
One day, yeah, it is, but it wasn't. I guess it wasn't a full quote. A quote got to be how many sentences?
I don't know. Look, I'm doing PhD work. You could put 4 words together and quote it. I don't know. Rules out the window.
Cool. Nah,
You referenced it.
I just did the one day. The one day was just the theme. That's why I went off the theme for the. That was the theme for the day. So.
And you know what? Maybe that's me. Maybe I imposed it because so many people speak about the I Have a Dream speech on Martin Luther King Jr. Day.
Right.
Like that's the one that they reference. You know what? I'm gonna say I put that in there. It was only 3: The American Dream, This Letter from Birmingham Jail, and Mountaintop.
Yep.
Mountaintop. Okay, why these two? Why these 2 speeches? If I'm thinking American Dream and Mountaintop, these are ascension type goal setting speeches. But the Birmingham jail, he's in jail. I mean, he talks about getting out, but like the starting point is different.
Mm-hmm.
What made you want to choose these 2 speeches to kind of close out yours?
If you look at the quotes, all of them are pointing to time. And that was the theme of the message, pretty much, one day. So it looked at time. So the American Dream speech was saying, all here now. The Birmingham letter, he talks about how time is neutral, that it can be used destructively or constructively. And he suggests that sometimes he feels that people that with ill intentions has used their time more effectively than those who
have goodwill.
And then Mountaintop is pointing to Promised Land, which points to one day. And so that was the theme of all of the speeches that were quoted, talking about time and how time. And that's what's the thing that I was pretty much talking about in this whole speech is time. That's why they were selected.
I did not pick up on that. I thought I was doing my job.
Yeah.
That's great. That's great because again, before I posed the question, like there's just you layer and embed and to as you study, it's a study of you and how you write. So I continue to learn all the time.
Right.
So I expect this on Sunday.
What?
A secret theme.
A secret theme?
Yeah, a secret theme.
What you mean?
I don't know. Like I just found out about time.
Oh, okay.
Don't do that. That's my work.
Okay.
Those are all of the questions that I have for you, Pastor. I appreciate you taking the time to talk about this. I know typically our podcast is about the sermon, and I'm glad we took the specific time to talk about Martin Luther King Jr. With the capacity and the outlets that we have. So with that, do you have any parting pastoral points for the people?
Man, this was like a momentous occasion for me. It was like a mountaintop experience for real. And then to have my family there, oh man, it was just, it was so great, and just I received so many words of encouragement and compliments and things like that. But for my son and my daughter to be there to see that and experience that moment, it was very special. And so I'm grateful. I'm so grateful for being selected, and hopefully I did what I was supposed to do in that moment, and hopefully it's what enhance or motivate, inspire people to do things today to help us get to one day where we don't have all these inequalities and black people don't have to endure so much just because of the color of their skin. but that's take work. It's hard, and it's, all those things that Dr. King talks about. If you listen to his old speeches, it's the same stuff we're still enduring today with a little sugar on top right now. Some things, like we can buy homes, but yet it's still, sometimes, we get higher interest rates, so we're not able to get the loan. We can live where we want to, but it also comes with police pulling you over and wondering why you're in that neighborhood. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We can run for office, but you still, as Barack Obama showed us, while giving the State of the Union, white man's calling him a liar from the floor. You feel what I'm saying? So we've come a long way, but we still have a long way to go. And so hopefully, if we all really figure out ways, how do we come together, how do we work together, how we stand together, no matter what our race is, I think it'll be very beneficial for generations to come into a world that's not filled with so much hate just because of the color of your skin. And I think Dr. King, on this moment, just looking back on this moment, and like I said, listening to his speeches, is so incredible. And I'm just grateful, I'm thankful.
Yeah. Thank you, Pastor. Appreciate it.
And thank you to all my people that came out and supported us, who was there and or watched online. All the messages, phone calls, prayers. Thank you so very much. I appreciate it 100%.
There we go.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks.
And then, no, I'm just gonna.
And close out the show then. Close it out.
Go ahead. It's on you. It's on you. I'm a guest.
My permanent guest, my forever guest.
Forever guest.
Thank you again for joining us here at MTZ Overflow. Please check out our website, mtzlife.com, for updates and events. And until then, stay marvelous, fabulous, and blessed. Peace.
God bless. Peace.
Can be one day, but it requires all of us to understand that work is required to build bridges and contribute all of ourselves to help elevate the oppressed and the downtrodden. We have to work together to ensure that our children have the same opportunities as everyone else. We have to engage fervently in discovering meaningful ways to improve the economics of our communities that are poor. We need to take pride in what we have, who we are, and where we've come from. And I plead with you all today not to allow one day to cause apathy or complacency, but use today to work diligently to produce the one day we envision to have unity, equity, and freedom. Dr. King, in his final speech on the mountaintop, declares, like anyone, I would like to live a long life. Longevity has its place, but I'm not concerned about that now. I just want to do God's will. And he's allowed me to go up to the mountain. And I've looked over and I've seen the promised land. I may not get there with you, but I want you to know tonight that we as a people will get to the promised land. And I'm happy tonight. I'm not worried about anything. I'm not fearing any man. Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord. And to the state of Wisconsin, I am confident as Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. on his last night on this earth, that the vision of one day is going to allow us to push harder today, that we may be able to get to that one day, which is the promised land. And if I was in my sanctuary, I'll look at my crowd and I'll say, weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning.